Alright, we are back with a new video, and we are continuing with this series of reviewing new episodes of Owl House. Today we got Elsewhere and Elsewhen, which involves time travel, or time loops I guess. Anyway, it turns out that Lilith has gone back on her feet since being expelled from the Emperor's Coven. Now you'd think this would have made her an outcast like Ida, but it seems like she was able to get a new job without much issue. Also, she got a new outfit, and her hair looks different, and she's wearing glasses. Kind of makes her look like herself when she was younger as a character development thing, and honestly, it makes her look cuter, but that's just me. Also, Luce is still using Philip's journal to try and fix the portal. It's through this she learns about this collector fellow, but rather than wait for the journal to reveal who or what that is, she decides to use time travel so she can talk to Philip himself about it. And since Lilith knows a thing or two about time travel and has this weird thing of wanting to be more adventurous, this becomes a Luce and Lilith episode. For the most part, I thought this was a fine pairing, kind of diversifying the field a bit, and the scene where they are looking for the time pools is interesting enough. At one point, Lilith trips over something, but we don't see it, only to later find out she was actually tripping over her future self's head after dipping it through one of the time pools. And when it seems like her calculations led to nowhere, she goes through this weird downward spiral where she questions what went wrong. And there's this one part where she takes off her glasses and says, "Am I broken?" And obviously we can see her face through the lenses, which is kind of cute, but I don't know, this is just a weirdly sad moment. But it turns out the calculations were correct and they go back in time. And it's in the course of the episode where we learn that time travel operates more like in a time loop model than a butterfly effect model. You see, most time travel stories focus on the latter and how characters can mess up the future by changing stuff from the past, and usually this ends up creating all kinds of plot holes and questions that can't ever be fully resolved. Like, how does this specific change lead to that specific future? Or why does this change matter, but not all the other ones? Here, though, there's one timeline with time travel shenanigans already built in. Lilith was always going to trip over something at this spot because she later decided to time travel to that spot at the moment she was walking there. And if this is to be believed, then the Philip that Luce was studying her in the earlier episodes already knows about her and Lilith through their encounter in this episode. Now, ultimately, the collector scene we get at the end might change things slightly, but considering that the timeline we know doesn't appear to change at the end of the episode, despite Luce and Lilith being heavily involved in Philip's affairs, this is the most logical conclusion. This is clearly a better way to utilize time travel in stories, as it presents fewer opportunities for plot holes, although it does present this world where we lack free will, as everything we will ever do or become is predetermined, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, they meet Philip right as he's getting beaten up, implying that Philip is an outcast down on his luck that deserves our sympathy, and it becomes apparent that this was set up to a twist where Philip is kind of a bad guy, as he tricks Luce and Lilith into accompanying him to the collector to offer them as a sacrifice. Whatever, they end up escaping, Lilith punches him in the face, leaving a pretty brutal scar, and they head back. On the whole, this plotline was alright, although I have a similar issue to it as Eclipse Lake in that a lot of it feels like setup to future episodes, while the story here wasn't too much. I also think Lilith's arc of wanting more adventure isn't explored that much, like she's mainly motivated by wanting to impress one of her coworkers at her new job, but considering this is the first time we've seen her on screen in months, this was a bit underwhelming. Again, I think my favorite moment is when Lilith wonders if she's broken. Again, that moment just kind of sticks with me. Speaking of underwhelming, there's also the side plot of Edith's dad coming to visit and her spending most of the episode trying to avoid him. Like, I guess he's there to celebrate Lilith's new job, but considering Lilith isn't even at the house for most of the episode, it only makes the storyline feel like it could have happened at any time. And while we were trying to hide the dad for most of the episode to create some mystery, I also feel like this caused the storyline to get barely any screen time, as obviously at some point they would have to come up with more excuses to not have the dad on the screen, which again was kind of dumb. And when Enid finally does face her dad, it's a pretty brief scene. She apologizes, he forgives her, and the two of them get some closure. The scene itself is alright, but again, considering that the storyline didn't get that much screen time, it made a lot of it feel underwhelming to me. So on the whole, this episode was just kind of okay. Like, it's not bad by any means, and it has some fun moments. However, I don't think it added that much to the overall series, and I wasn't gripped by it the same way that I am for other episodes. I might reconsider it at some point, but I think for now I'm gonna have to give it around the same spot as Eclipse Lake, if not slightly below it. Maybe I just was in the right mood when watching it, but I just didn't care for this episode as much as others, but that's just my thoughts on the episode. So that'll do it for this video. If you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. Again, I have a new video coming up on Thursday that is meant to reflect the normal schedule, so stay tuned for that. Again, I have other content for other shows coming out soon, so stay tuned for that as well. But for now, that is the video. See ya.